welcome to VGMpire episode 44. This is your host, Brett Elston, along with...
Michael Grimm.
This is Dave Starman.
Nice.
Comenia dead.
And this is all wrestling episode, eh? Come on.
Yeah.
I approve.
I'm wild, yeah.
So I've got the soundboard open, as you're wont to do.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Brett's just going to have a conversation with himself for this
So,
episode.
what percentage do you think this episode will be wrestling songs?
1,000,000%.
Good.
So sorry.
That means it will extend into the next 1,000 episodes.
Yeah, the next pretty much till the show is over, it will all be wrestling episodes. But this is kind of a preamble to Wrestlemania, which is about here. And Dave, you'll actually be there.
I will, yes.
But this is hitting just before WrestleMania airs, so I thought, we've kind of danced around doing our whole wrestling episode, and between songs that you guys suggested, and then my friend Creative Assassin, who grabbed a lot of wrestling music that we all kind of remembered or had heard was good, grabbed a bunch of wrestling songs from the NES and SNES eras and beyond,
Yes.
and we'll now talk about them.
Plus, Chris
What an
has
intro.
Chris has said that anytime a podcast tackles wrestling, ratings go way down. So
Really?
that's what he said about the Laser Times, and that's why partly why Cheap Podcast is around. He said this on. He said it all along. Yeah.
Well, it's like
What you said about me a few days ago, yeah.
it's like we just haven't found our gimmick yet, We're like
Yeah.
Isaac Yankem right now. It's
Well, you
not
know
gonna
what
work.
it is.
It's
what it is.
what it is.
All right, I'm going to put this to rest for a little bit. Bringing us in was the NES Pro Wrestling,
Yes.
which, like you said, you were Dave Starman Rudden, and that was one of the characters, Starman King Corn Karn
King Corn Karn.
from Korea,
Yes, naturally.
King Slender, Giant Panther, Amazon, of course,
Yes.
and then Great Puma. It was the big
Nice.
bad villain you fought at the end. And there's a great YouTube video that's just called, Great Puma Gets Smoked in 2 minutes. And it's somebody just beating the crap out of Great Puma. But that was just the headline alone is Great Puma Gets Smoked. Is finally he gets to come up and see. But it turns out, before they got where they are now, wrestling games, which was just, here are their themes, literally, here you go. They are all licensed tracks now. They had to improvise and just make wrestling music. And also it was... in a case like this pro wrestling, it's not based on any particular circuit or anything. It's just wrestling dudes, so we had to make music. And that intro song that we played loops indefinitely forever.
Yeah.
So it gets old, but because of that, I think everyone knows it. The moment you hear, you're like, pro wrestling. Dozens of rounds, just I don't even know what I'm doing. Just brainbuster all day.
Yes. Yeah, that's the remix, is the actual song with that sound effect. And that's
Pretty much it. And I have no idea who the composer is, because that's one of those things nobody wrote down.
Yes, composer, designer, developer, Aki, all caps.
Yeah, and definitely for me, it captured what we loved about wrestling, though. It was super, flamboyant and, colorful costumes and moves and these over-the-top characters. It was basically the pro wrestling game we would have wanted. But what by looking up, Masato Masuda, one of the devs, went on to work for Human, who would make Fire Pro Wrestling.
Hey.
So there's some kind of tie to that series right there. It also popularized the phrase, a winner is you.
Yes.
That was this game, believe it or not. That actually did start somewhere and has a tangible beginning that we can go, there it is. Same thing with, all your base, it belonged to us. Thank you, Zero
Mario
Wing.
Brothers 2. Oh.
Might have been Mario 2. I think when you beat it and find out you're actually secretly in a snow globe.
You're actually cats.
I guess moving on, I don't know, any other pro wrestling memories? I just remember playing it forever and not really being good at it.
Or really enjoying it.
No.
I had that game and I just played it a lot, but it was always like...
Yeah. Watching videos of it now, I'm like, wow, you can do a lot. You can throw people out of the ring. You can jump out of the ring. Every character has a signature move.
You can rock bottom them through the Spanish table.
But the Amazon bite, I think if you do it and the ref is looking, he'll come break it up. But if you do it when the ref is away, you can totally get away with it.
Oh, wow.
There's little droplets of blood, which is itself kind of notable from the NES days. But I thought we'd move ahead a little bit into WWF Wrestlemania, which is not great.
No.
But
No.
But because of the coverage in Nintendo Power, I think that's what helped solidify my love of those characters. Because these big full-page spreads on the characters. And then the first one was Hulk Hogan, $1 Million Man, Honky Tonk Man, Andre the Giant, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Macho Man. And each of them got a page with their profile picture and their ridiculous moves. And it's like, it really started like indoctrinating you very early into these larger than life characters. And then realizing, wait, I can go watch TV and they're on the TV? That's crazy.
In the case of Bam Bam Bigelow, literally larger than life.
And still somehow alive, despite
Nope.
no,
No, not Bam Bam.
Oh,
He is dead.
He had those flames tattooed on his head, and there was mercury in the dye, and it gave him.
a slow, agonizing death over 12 years.
Well, if you're a wrestler, you've committed yourself to a slow, agonizing death.
Yep. I did find out. I don't know if you saw The Wrestler, the movie, the popular movie, not like the game Pro Wrestling. But apparently it inspired... Oh, no, sorry. WWF Wrestlemania inspired Wrestle Jam, the game that they're playing in that.
Yeah.
And it's inspired by this WWF Wrestlemania. So 4 songs really quick. Ted DiBiase. And I can't tell if these are their themes.
They are, from what I remember.
Okay, so Hulk Hogan I know is, but we'll get to that. So Ted DiBiase, Honky Tonk Man, Andre the Giant. These are all super short.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan is the only one I know is the actual theme. Yeah. But if you recognize these, please let me know. And we'll... Oh, by the way, composer is David Wise, because it's rare. Made this. And David Wise, as you know, Donkey Kong Country, very good composer on, Wizards and Warriors, Battletoads, tons of stuff in prior episodes. There's episode on all kinds of stuff.
That's why when Macho Man talks in this, he goes,
instead of saying...
Look at you here. I'm begging right now. You made her beg, huh? You ain't seen nothing yet.
So we'll be back. So we all know, but most of those seemed like the actual themes.
But they were like not completely like like note for note.
Yeah. So what were you saying about $1 Million Man?
So I'm guessing I cannot remember the exact roster. So I'm guessing that Rick Martel nor Tito Santana were characters in WrestleMania.
Not in this game, no.
But the song that plays for the $1 Million Man is "Girls in Cars," which was the theme song of the tag team Strike Force.
Okay.
And this is like Girls in Cars is probably the most 80s pop video tune. Like, I put it at the end of Cheap Popcast episode 7. I mentioned it in 6, and it's just like it's actually a good 80s song. It's like an 80s dude singing about girls in cars and how attractive they are. And cars.
How attractive they are.
In the cars.
In my car.
Wait, here it comes.
In my car.
Girls in cars. Girls in cars.
Not like Girls on Film, the Duran Durans.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Now my childhood is crumbling down. I did not have Girls in Cars and Girls on Film.
I couldn't believe you guys singing Honky Tonk Man. That threw me for a loop.
Yeah, so that is kind of.
Man, it sounds like a honky tonk song, though.
But you said there's actual lyrics?
He's the honky tonk man.
He's the honky tonk man.
Yeah. He's the honky tonk man.
He's the honky tonk man. Whoa.
But there's like a little bit of flourish there, because like after the last He's the honky tonk man, I'm cool, I'm cocky, I'm bad, and like that part isn't in there. Like so David Weiss obviously he added little flourishes. Like,
nice.
And even with Hulk Hogan's theme,
which I'm gonna, I gotta drop some amazing story on you about.
Yeah, so like there's like parts where it's like there's not much going on in the actual Hulk Hogan theme song, but he's like adding like little like
right.
I'm like
this one, so what's weird is we found this song when we started ripping NES music back like in the late '90s, early 2000s. Like, we would go to Walmart every Sunday because there's nothing else to do. Taco Bell, Walmart specifically, and do both of them. And because what else is open after 10 o'clock in the Midwest? The answer is gas stations and Walmart. That is all. And degenerate bars. But anything else is absolutely closed. So you go to Walmart, and we rounded the corner with that song stuck in our head, and there was like a finger puppet on a candy stick. Like, a little finger puppet that goes in your finger, but it comes on let's say a candy cane or something, but it's called finger puppet on candy stick, right? And that
candy beans, candy stick.
That got stuck in our heads, so on candy stick, finger puppet on a candy stick, finger puppet on candy stick, finger puppet on a candy stick. And it goes on and on and on. And then later I found out that I'm a Real American has lyrics.
Yes.
And so that ruined the song for me. That's all I have to say about that.
Hulk Hogan choking power chords out of that poor guitar in the video.
I did not play, however, what I left out was sort of a sore subject, but it's worth playing because moment of peace. My bad. No, you have not all graduated high school.
This is the song that plays when Mega Man graduates high school.
This is Macho Man's theme.
Yes. It does hurt a little bit, yeah.
It's a little too real.
The great thing about what I love about, there's not much to love about WrestleMania on NES, but the thing is, like, the power-ups that come bouncing across the stage,
those are so cool.
They are personalized to each superstar. So, like, if you're the Macho Man, you can only grab the sunglasses.
It's like an anticipation pieces moving around the board.
Hulk Hogan, yeah.
It's too sexy. Accidentally loaded the game over noise. Nope, get out of here. All right, so moving on. Let me just hit page down on my notebook here. And that move brings us into WrestleMania Challenge, which is just after this, like a year later. David Wise again. This adds Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho King Randy Savage, which is, I'm guessing that defines a specific era when he was the Macho King.
Yes. That's when Macho Man and
was anointed.
Jerry Lawler did the fusion, like in Dragon Ball.
Who wore the earring? Or what if they fused the other way?
See, I don't know.
Okay. Andre the Giant, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Big Boss Man, Ravishing Rick Rude, and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And I bothered to watch what I'm guessing is some kind of video for Ravishing Rick Rude, and he was hideous, man.
He was ravishing, actually.
Ravishing one.
From an 80s standpoint, but seeing him today with all the hair and the giant mustache and watching him grind around on ladies on the floor is like, no.
You tell me you don't want to have intercourse with this man, Brett.
I
That's
do.
what you're trying to say
Personally,
right
I don't. And let's just say that the 80s aged horribly.
If we were three women in the 1980s,
no,
we'd be
yeah,
singing
definitely.
a far different tune.
Definitely.
That mustache.
I agree.
That greasy, long hair.
Continence.
But so what was interesting here is, so there's more characters, so there's more themes, but some of them appear again, so you have Hulk Hogan again. But what I thought was neat was, it's David Wise has to flourish this a bit, right?
Yeah.
So here's his other version, and he kind of embellishes it a bit in various areas. On Candy Stick.
On that candy stick, on that candy stick.
But it's just a little bit different instrumentation. Here we go.
Oof.
A little different. And so forth. Yeah. Yes, we know Hulk Hogan's theme. But we'll go into a few more songs from WrestleMania Challenge. The first one I know is Ravishing Rick Rude, which has a very Battletoads sound to it, which makes sense. Track 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know whose these music are. If you know,
I will.
You will
tell
know.
you.
We'll let you know when we get back. I just love watching Dave like cringe trying to figure some of these out. But you did get 2 was Brutus Beefcake, and I think 4 was Big Boss Man. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, this last one has shades of I think Super Glove Ball.
Yeah.
Which I think is also David Wise did the music for.
The very last one is familiar, but just not enough.
Yeah.
And the one thing I will say about WrestleMania Challenge that almost defined every wrestling game after that, maybe not immediately, but there was a character in WrestleMania Challenge called Yourself.
Oh yes.
Whoa. So I'm gonna say, for the sake of my own pride, that one of those songs was Yourself.
Okay.
And the song just was
it
not ingrained enough in my brain.
Right.
But it's literally like somebody with a generic haircut and like generic build, generic face, and that's supposed to be you. And it worked because like a lot of the times when I played WrestleMania Challenge, I would choose Yourself, and it'd be like, there I am.
That's me.
It's the create a character with no flourish added to him.
Man,
it's a good thing you weren't black, Dave, because then you wouldn't have been able to identify at all.
Well, I was, and then I had my pigmentation changed. So
that's right. Yeah.
Moving into WCW, this is Kinji Yoshida composer. Only wrestling game to feature the NWA. That's the National Wrestling Alliance.
Mm-hmm. Not the rap group.
Not the rap group. And had the Road Warriors on the cover. Although apparently at some point they left for WWF while the game was still being sold.
Wow.
So they replaced Sting on the cover, printed a different box, because that's basically free promotion for the WWF at that point. Road Warriors, I vaguely recall, were they inspired by Mad Max and all that stuff? Because they look like they're from that movie.
I would assume so.
And they were like, that whole tag team notion was something that's big to me in the 80s as well, because there was like natural disasters, Road Warriors,
Earthquake
and Typhoon were the natural disasters.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally.
But the Road Warriors, they pretty much inspired Demolition in the WWF. Who were like the leather clad.
And then the Steiner brothers,
yes.
And such.
The Road Warriors had a reputation for being
they
bad
would just
wrestlers.
kick the crap out of everyone they wrestled. Like literally, we're gonna come to the ring and we are gonna actually clothesline you.
Yes, yeah.
It's gonna hurt.
And it's going to hurt because whoops. So this had Nature Boy Ric Flair, and it said his special move is the jumping neck breaker drop. Was this pre-figure 4 leg lock, or do they just not have the ability to program that in a game?
I think this was a game made by people who didn't quite know.
Are you saying they did not research the material?
And before you put together this episode, I decided hey, I think I'll listen to some old school wrestling tunes, and I listened to this WCW.
Music is very good.
Nothing sounds like anything that's ever been in WCW.
Yep. We also got Sting, the Total Package Lex Luger, Mike Rotunda,
who turned into IRS in the WWE.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Road Warrior Hawk and Animal, Steve, Dr. Death Williams,
yes,
Games Master Kevin Sullivan, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, of course, Dogface Gremlin Rick Steiner, which has to be the worst. You're only 30-something and you're already the Dog-Faced Gremlin. He would go on to wrestle for 20 more years. Yeah. Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, Michael P.S. Hayes, and then someone called the WCW Master, who they list as 7'4", 510 pounds.
That is a final boss.
Who is like what, a Bobo or the Balrog or what? What is that big? Even Andre the Giant, how tall was he?
No, not that tall.
Not that tall.
He was actually 6'6". They just camera tricks.
They booked him as 7 feet, but really probably 6'6".
6'10", 6'8". So I only have a vague memory of this game at a friend's house, only because him just saying the word Cobra Twist over and over again, and I just laughed every time I heard it. But one thing I thought was interesting was the NES game, when you turn it on, does actually say, turn this on,
World Championship Wrestling!
Welcome!
And that's the game crashing. Nice.
Welcome to NBA Jam!
Yeah. So we'll do track 1, which is the intro opening, and track 3, 4, 5... Or no, 3, 5, 4 for some reason. Track 4, I don't know what any of these songs are, because like you said, they don't seem to be from wrestling. It's just music you encounter in the game. It's a very sinister sounding track for wrestling. But we'll do these 4 songs and be back. It really does sound like Castlevania dungeon music or something.
Jaws.
Jaws, yes. But yeah, given that I don't know where that music takes place, I don't know. But again, because I forgot what else that composer did, but like that's like solid game music that would make like you can picture that in any kind of overhead action game. It just so happens it's like Lex Luger versus Hulk Hogan, or Sting, I should say.
And it is odd, like that. Pro wrestling set the tempo. Like, no, you can just have one song that plays every single wrestling match.
Yeah.
But this is like, let's have like a 15, 16 song soundtrack.
Yeah.
Very distinct songs that go 2 or 3 minutes at a time. They didn't have to do that, but they
That's
did.
true. Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
awesome
that's
that they did because it's a great soundtrack.
Yeah, because not many years before was pro wrestling with its one song.
Yes.
And yeah, given that they didn't, I'm not sure why they would have gone that route of not bothering to make the music to fit the themes. Although I suspect maybe it was based on a Japanese game, much like pro wrestling was another game, and when I came over here, they ditched whatever Japanese license it had. It's just like it's goofy costumes, and then not an actual licensed bit. That's WCW. So we'll move in really quickly with Tecmo World Wrestling, which is another one I never really played, but I remember the box I never played. But the music is really good, as you might suspect. Keiji Yamagishi and Mayuko Okamura. There's a title screen and then 2 other tracks, and I don't really have any other thing to say about this one. Because again, it's another one of those, like, we don't need a license to make it work. This is because we talked about this, I think, on the sports episode, which was you could get away with not having a license because it was more just like, well, we have a gameplay idea.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if there's no license because it's not expected. And then over the years, it just got to this point like, oh, well, if you're not licensed, well, other company's going to put out the license one every year, so I don't have time to play your other, or $50 to spend on your game. I'll rent it once and whatever. But back then, you could totally do this. So we'll do 3 songs from this Tecmo World Wrestling and be back. So straight up Ninja Gaiden music, which makes sense. And there was a Ninja Gaiden trilogy episode a few months back. So listen to that one if you must. If you will.
If you can tell the difference between those songs.
Yeah, that track 2 sounds like Ninja Gaiden 2 Unlimited Movement. It's like the last stage, second to last stage with the crazy green waterfall in the background. Really similar sounds to that. But yeah, that's, again, better music than the kind of music you wouldn't put in a game that's just going to like kind of go on a shelf amidst hundreds of other games. Because, like, again, imagine a time when like there really only was one console. Yeah. Yes, the Master System was out. Yes, by this time the Genesis was out because that was 89. But like nothing was the NES. That was the killer app across the board. That's what retailers wanted. That's what kids wanted. Anything else was the fringe thing that, oh, yeah, I have a Master System. Weird. Yeah. Anyway, my friends are all talking about a game that they played, and no one cares about your Alex Kidd story. So that's, you're going to throw a WCW game against the wall and see if it sticks, or a wrestling game, when there's already 2 others from Rare, 1 from Nintendo, one, like, there's so many wrestling games.
But it was the perfect timing, because it's when the NES was at its height, and it's when wrestling was at its most popular.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you could put out NES Pro Wrestling and people will buy that. And you put out a game that doesn't have anyone that anyone is familiar with. Just make someone who looks like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
That's why I play pro wrestling, because King Slender looked like Hulk Hogan.
Well, I played it, because like Starman and Amazon, I was like, which maybe explains why I ended up playing as Blanca down the line, because it's like, oh, Green Monster Man, I will always pick you.
And he also bites.
He bites their heads. Yes. So copyright infringement. I'm sorry. So. Really quick, I also was going to jump the gun here a bit and go into more of a mid-modern era, into the 16 or 32-bit eras, and play some stuff live. So this is WCW Super Brawl, which just has that methodical crunch of a wrestling promo. Yep. And I feel like I should be lifting weights to the beat, maybe.
Talk about your upcoming pay-per-view.
Tough enough.
It's TBS at 6:35 on a Saturday night. It's time for wrestling.
God, the TBS and the Fives, like, to this day, like, and they explained why he did that. It was something like when every other show was getting off at like 4:55, 4:58, and back before every show used to run into each other with the credits kind of overlapping, there used to be like 2 minutes of just commercials before the next show started, and he was like, our shows will start at 05, because then when a show ends, they'll know the next show on my channel won't start for at least 2 or 3 minutes. It'll just be commercials. Yeah. But if I go to TBS, the end of that show is on. So in lieu of watching commercials, I could at least watch some show. So I'll go to TBS, and I guess that had some factor of it working because they're still around.
By the way, I don't recommend playing it on this episode, but the Super Brawl menu is the most crazy, whacked out character select menu I've ever seen. Because, like, they have the, like, I don't know, 12 or so WCW wrestlers, and there's no names underneath them. So it's like a picture of Rick Steiner, a picture of Johnny B. Bad, and a picture of Sting. And unlike any other fighting game where you would expect the character to pop out at you and say something when you go over them, the characters will randomly pop out of their square and say their line, but you don't have to be on them. Wow. So there's like, it's just like Sting going, woo, and you might be on Ric Flair, and then Ric Flair will say, to be the man, you got to beat the man, and like all these like random like 2-second clips. But like I watched the YouTube clip, and it's like you will go like 20 seconds between hearing Sting say "woo," but then you will hear like it'll take like 5 minutes for Rick Steiner to repeat himself. It's just there you go.
Wow.
A thirst for high impact.
That's Brian Pillman.
God, it's
You want Vader?
That's Vader. Obviously.
This is not a soundboard. Like,
who deserves the belt?
That's Rick Steamboat.
Bad.
What is Steamboat doing? It looks like he's doing the Charleston.
It's not my fault.
That's Rick Steiner, who I don't think he ever said that's not my fault.
Invincible.
But like, you watch that clip.
That's horrible.
They are not. He's not actually like focusing on the characters when they do that. They just jump out and do it.
That's so
It's also just so weird looking because it's like two little like 9 looping GIFs and there's no names under anyone. So just look it up.
What else did I have in here? Oh, I was gonna pick up. So you guys, this is so that's a little later on. Well, I guess before I jump out of the 16-bit era, I did want to see if I could find really quick the Super WrestleMania themes.
Okay.
So this actually let you go and select different characters just to play their theme songs. This being Macho Man. Horribly rendered by a Super Nintendo trumpet. But this is probably the last wrestling game. Well, this and Royal Rumble for Super NES I played a lot of because I guess wrestling was still at its peak.
Yeah.
And it was just starting to slide off that like huge explosion it had.
Imagine just a skull trumpet playing this song.
Man. But, yeah?
Taker.
Oh my god.
It is the Undertaker or a barge.
I'm a little scared right now.
God, this picture of him with his eyes bugging out.
That is an intense picture.
Oh, man, that's pretty nice. It's like a Final Fantasy final boss, like descending from the ceiling. Kefka coming from the top of the...
This will be your end.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
This is Jake the Snake Roberts.
Man, you get this off like half a note.
I can name that 16-bit track in one note.
And of course...
This is the crashable.
This is more obvious than it seems.
Earthquake.
Yes. Anything?
That is all.
It's just that noise.
Composed by John Cage.
This is the actual $1 Million Man theme.
I do love this theme.
Money, money.
Here comes the money.
I am glad they got that little uptick. That is, if you listen to the actual $1 Million Man's theme, that is the closest you will ever hear to the Genesis like chime. Chime.
I don't know why, but as a kid, I always confused the $1 Million Man with George Zimmerman from the Men's Warehouse.
You're gonna like the way you look. Is this the Tonka?
No.
Wait. Wow.
He met the Shockmaster.
Was it Sid?
Yes.
His thing was not widely circulated because he had like a year in WWE before he left
Whoa.
for WCW.
Yes, they kicked up the bass on that one. Then there's also Royal Rumble, which I played a lot of as well. But let's see if you can guess a couple of these.
This is Brett.
All right, another one.
Probably my favorite wrestler of all time.
Really?
Mr. Perfect.
Mr. Editor's Choice.
God, the way this starts.
This is Tatanka.
Here we go. One more. Who is this? You can feel it. His special move is the Cranium Crunch.
It's Crush?
Yes. How do you know who Crush is?
It's Kona Crush. He was, he started out... I'm going to give you a history lesson now.
Please do.
He started as a third member of Demolition.
Okay.
And then became a Hawaiian strongman named Kona Crush.
Okay.
And then he turned on Macho Man and he just became Crush. And he wore like more gothic makeup. And then
we needed more of that.
And then he became a biker. And
like
then,
The Undertaker.
Yes. And then he did 1 or 2 other things after that. There's actually a really good article on Deadspin. They have this week. They used to have this regular column called the Dead Wrestler of the Week.
What was that column about?
Dead wrestlers, and it was almost weekly.
The day I can be on the Dead Wrestler Weekly.
But yeah, like I think one of the last ones they ever did was Crush, and the thing was he was almost indicative of what like wrestling was in the '90s, where it's like. If you're not Hulk Hogan or Macho Man or someone who's super popular, you're the kind of guy who's gonna have to like bend and change your gimmick. So like, yeah, Crush was like he did like a half dozen different like characters, but he was always Crush. And like, yeah, he was a biker, he was a happy Hawaiian guy, he was a demolition guy. Just like, it's a good article. I recommend you read it. And
so that moves us a little bit ahead into the era, which this is a song you guys kept wanting me to play for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think the impetus for the entire show.
Yeah.
It's because I've never actually listened to this, but so No Mercy, which I believe is held up as the best wrestling game of all time,
Yes.
more or less.
Agreed.
And why is that?
It's just so endlessly like the basic like mechanics of it are really fun, but then the custom like creative character stuff, you could basically make any character that was currently wrestling, like so you could roster update whatever, but it was just so fun. They had like the story mode stuff. The story mode in WrestleMania was better, I think.
That's
WrestleMania 2000.
WrestleMania 2000, yeah. But No Mercy was like the sequel to that. But
this is like an engine that was refined over 2 WCW games. So it was
This is the Raw or NWO World Tour.
yeah. So it started. It was WCW versus the World, then
Revenge.
WCW Revenge, then WWF Wrestlemania 2000, and then this was the last time that Aki and THQ collaborated on a game, and it was No Mercy.
Wow.
And that's why it's like held up as the pinnacle of wrestling games, because it was like wrestling at its hottest. Well, the second time around.
Yeah, the L Attitude. Well, just after Attitude, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I remember playing a WWF Attitude on N64, I think.
Yeah,
right?
and I mean that game does not hold up.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
you
that's
play those
bad.
Acclaim wrestling games. Like I loved them back then because they were like, wow, I can hear actual theme songs.
Yeah.
These are polygon models of wrestlers, so it's a little bit more realistic. I like can see the face, and even though it's like a plastered texture over a square. Like
I do recommend that the high point of that game though was listening to Ahmed Johnson's video clip from the PlayStation version.
I forgot about those. Yes. WWF Warzone.
Warzone, yes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
So I think there was only like 12 wrestlers in that, maybe 15.
Yes.
But each of them had like 2 or 3 clips that they would play when they challenged you in the story mode.
Yes.
So like that's a nice little PlayStation relic.
Yeah.
They're in front of like a giant fire challenging you to a match, and Ahmed Johnson is saying words, but they just sound like
completely
gibberish.
indecipherable. Yeah.
I did rent Attitude, and I think I recorded this wave. This is off air. I still have it on my computer, and I hope this works. Yeah, so I recorded that August 22nd, 1998.
Wow.
And because I was like, and
That sounds like you're like ascending into the heavens, and you're getting smacked down to hell.
so speaking of SmackDown, here is the SmackDown Mall.
SmackDown Mall.
Oh my god. Oh, good god. It's like Lou Vega just going nuts with the wrestling music.
That was scratching.
Yeah. Circa 2001, if you just weren't aware. If this didn't make it painfully clear.
So you'd be wrestling to this.
No. This is the music that plays when you're purchasing like additional equipment, like in masks and costumes and stuff.
Oh,
for your
okay.
wrestling.
I thought you were like wrestling in a mall.
No. Yeah, the SmackDown Mall is the store, the in-game store. But for the true experience, the No Mercy theme is the one. This is a great run-up though, because I just love the ruthless like scratch noise over everything.
All right, so
This is the one.
let's see if this is it. Oh my. Oh my god, why? Suck!
Wait for the rock laugh. And that's the main theme.
Why? Is there a precedent for this? Like,
No, the music in this.
I would say it's partially inspired by The Rock's theme itself, which is The Rock's theme was samples of The Rock, like The Rock says,
yeah,
The
that's
Rock
true.
says,
yeah.
The Rock says, and this is just like, hey, let's put everything into one song with a bunch of samples.
You didn't know
you didn't
that
know.
Rock was cooking?
Yes.
Two
Good.
things mashed. But you were also mentioning before my battery is starting to run out. Warzone. You said the taunts.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The Warzone
My
also.
bite is worse than my bark.
They had
I'm gonna dance all over your face.
That's Shawn Michaels.
They had the taunts for the actual wrestlers, which were good, but I don't know if we can find them. But when you did the create a character, you could select from custom sound banks that weren't actual wrestlers, that were just like character ideas or like gimmicks.
Right.
And you would have like a guy called, me and my little brother quoted this all the time. There's one called the Governor. So the guy could be
It's
like,
the Heartbreak Kid live, and then you.
It's clearly the Heartbreak Kid.
yes. So the guy could be just basically a fat idiot, and he would say things like, I'm gonna tax your sorry ass. And it's just the worst voice acting, but they all have their own little awful taunts.
Yes.
Oh hell yeah!
I don't know who that is.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Mankind?
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Oh yeah! Pack your bag.
All right, so these are, I think, the crazy custom characters.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
This will hurt.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not cleaning up that. I can haul you out with the rest of the garbage.
Yes.
This one's gonna leave a stain.
So it's some kind of
I
garbage.
can wait here while you change.
Wow.
Yep. Another audience.
Wow, we need 2 more sound effects for this character. I'm just gonna fart in the mic. That's fine.
Wow. There's a lot of reverb on that one.
They sold this for money. Good God.
There's far too much bass in that one.
Peace. That's gotta hurt.
Jesus.
I'm in my zone.
That's
That's
Ken
Ken
Shamrock.
Get out of
Yeah.
my face.
God,
Wow, I know that one'll hurt.
Tone it
The
down.
dude is large and in charge.
Dude, love.
Like a man.
Yes, these are some of the
Now
custom.
somebody's really gonna get their ass whipped.
Whooped.
You go, girl.
I'm a
You
girl.
suck.
You suck.
I'm gonna tear you another ass. Game over, Winnie boy. You're gonna die, boy.
That's awfully.
Save me the trouble and just die now.
Jesus.
Incoming.
This is an ECW character.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh. All right, that's enough of that. So clearly, some high quality stuff. So that brings us to Saturday Night Slam Masters.
It's all been a journey to this point.
Yeah. So the names of the wrestlers. Well, first of all, the art was by Fist of the North Star, Tetsuo Ohara.
And it shows. They're all big muscle men with
Yes.
hilarious chests.
And then the music was by Toshio Kajino and Shun Nishigaki. It was called what in Japan? Like the Body Explosion or something like that?
I forget off.
It's called like some Full Body Explosion or something like that.
This was the first non-final fight appearance of Mike Hagar.
Yes.
Yes, this was like a nice turns out this is kind of some kind of larger universe, and Final Fight Mike Hagar is in this, so
Mayor of Earth.
Mayor of and the other wrestlers are let's see if I can go through these. Biff Slamkovich,
Yes.
Gunlock, The Great Oni, Titanic Tim, El Stingray, Mike Macho Hagar, Alexander the Greater, King Rostamon.
Do with that what you will. You know, he's built his living right near the beach. Boy.
So he's the old-timey Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
The Scorpion, and Jumbo Flapjack.
Jumbo Flapjack is the fat guy.
Oh, it's called in Japan. It's called Muscle Bomber: The Body Explosion.
That is so good.
It couldn't be, but I remember like everyone rented this and played in the arcade because this was hot off of Street Fighter 2. So it was like, what? There's a wrestling game. Well,
Yeah.
I care. And yeah, there's a few good songs from here. We'll just jump into these really quick. This is Calgary, very Street Fighter 2, and Hanover. Hanover is that you can hear the Street Fighter 2 coming out of that, and then Tokyo. So Calgary, Hanover, and Tokyo. lovely mix of east and west there with the electric guitar and the flutes and the wind instruments. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And my laptop's about to die, and I don't have my charger, so that's putting a kind of a negative spin on things. I'm going to do really quickly Wrestle War, which is also happened to be the name of the first WCW pay-per-view, but is not related to it in any way. Not released in the U.S., but in Japan, it's clearly Hulk Hogan on the cover.
Yes.
And his name on his hat says Titan Morgan, but it is Hulk Hogan. It did come out in the UK though,
did technically sort of come out in the US in the form of a Sega Smash Pack.
Really, it was in
that? Yeah, I just remember because like that was the very first game I reviewed. I reviewed it for a fan site, and I was like, every game in this is awesome. Except for Wrestle. It's a terrible game. Like the characters, I think it's like an isometric.
Yeah, it's probably one of those Beast Wrestler.
It's just terrible. But the music in Smash Pack was horribly emulated. So
really?
I'm looking forward to actually hearing the songs as they're supposed to be heard.
Nice. That's more than I've ever heard about Wrestle War. So we'll jump into these background music 1, 2, and 3. And 3, I feel like is Beethoven meets Revenge of Shinobi. And we'll see why. So I feel it has some of that gravity of a Beethoven, but it seems
like Nega Beethoven. Like,
yeah.
He has black hair. He's just like playing a guitar angrily, walking down the aisle.
Black fireballs are shooting out of his harpsichord at you.
My laptop has completely died. So
we'll be humming the rest of the tunes for the
So I think next was gonna be crap. Actually, I don't remember.
Another Wrestle War went on for 3 years until the Wrestle Sanctions stuff.
And then
Wrestle War 2 happened.
And then North Wrestle War dissolved the armistice between Wrestle War North and South.
The WWEDMZ.
It was one of the Fire Pro wrestling games. It was not released in the US, I believe. But laptop is completely dead.
Well, there were only 2. Like, the Fire Pro Wrestling series is very, very long. I mean, it extends back to SNES.
Yeah, this was, I think, a Genesis or Mega Drive.
Yeah, and it extended all the way to the end of the PS2. But the only 2 came out. Well, technically 2 came out. There's one for the GBA.
That's the one I remember.
One for the PS2. And technically there was one for Xbox Live Arcade.
Yes.
That Michael Graham actually reviewed for all of them.
I did review it. I enjoyed it. It's not great, but it's good.
But that is almost that's Fire Pro in name only. It's a game that stars avatars and completely avatars. And
I heard about this.
I would recommend it. I don't know if you guys can look it up, but the names in the Fire Pro wrestling games that they use to approximate current like WWE people is hilarious.
Well, while we do that, I grabbed some songs that I wish I had information for. We'll go into those real quick and be back.
Okay. So, what do you guys think? Or here, I'm going to give you the should I give him the fake name or the real name?
I would say the Fire Pro Wrestling name because
Okay.
oftentimes they're almost slightly sounding like the...
All right. Quotes, Steel Gold, Steam Odin.
This is easy level.
I'm guessing Steamboat. Steamboat.
No, I'm going to say Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Correct.
Oh, I didn't know what era. I didn't know what era this was.
This is WWF Pro Wrestling.
Okay,
So this is these are going to be.
What was the name again?
Steel Gold, Steam Odin.
So I'm guessing this is Fire Pro on GBA.
I don't see it which game it's listed as. It just sort of has several of them listed. But yeah, okay. The People's King, Luck Lepia.
Leper King.
The People's King.
The Rock. I got it.
Yeah.
People's Champion.
The Underground.
Jeez. The London-based.
Okay. The Game Master, Trouble J.
Oh.
Well, that I don't know off the top of my head.
So the game Triple H.
The Game Triple H. Maine.
Does he have a mask?
Yeah. It's King.
Oh.
And ratty hair.
Giant Joe. This actually should be the Big Show's name.
Billy Crystal's.
Well, it's the Giant Joe.
Fighting Machine, Ritz Genoa.
I actually
You
know.
could say Ritz Genoa if you wanted.
Yeah.
It's a Canadian crippler, Chris.
I see.
Yeah.
Gold Illusion, Ritz Jake.
Gold, other than Gold Dust.
Is it Gold Dust?
Chris Jericho.
Oh, wow.
That
weird.
one's pretty off. Quotes, 1, 2, 3 of Blitz, X Package.
So they did combine two people, or
No, that's X-Pac, who was
right.
the
one,
one,
the 1, 2, 3 kid.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I forgot.
literally crammed all of his personas into one. Like, yeah.
All the colors bleed into one.
Yes.
Okay. Hot-blooded Latin, Terry Navarro. It's Latino heat, actually, so I guess.
Hot-blooded.
Yes, but yeah.
I heard that Rich Genoa. I think I actually read in like the PS2 Fire Pro Wrestling that came out in the US. They took out Rich Genoa because of what Chris Benoit did.
Yes.
And it's like, wow, like that's how far the wrestling world wants to distance itself from Chris Benoit, that the fake knockoff Chris Benoit can't be in the new Fire Pro Wrestling.
Wow. By the way, the Fire Pro Wrestling that was Fire Pro Wrestling Retsuden. I did look it up.
Okay.
And the composer there is T. Saito and Gar Heu. I'm going to go with Gar Heu. Yeah, that's Mega Drive. Didn't come out in the US, I believe, 1992. Yes, it's a fun game. But very good music.
Just two more that I think are pretty good.
Oh, I didn't know we were done.
Invincible Superman, Axe Dugan.
Mike Hagar.
That's got to be Hulk Hogan.
It is Hulk Hogan.
All right.
And this is a tough one. Rey Mysterious Jr.
Oh, wow. Did they at least spell it with an A?
Yes.
All
they
right.
did, yes.
That's avoiding.
Wow. Man, and
Lost
like, it just
there.
seems like WWE would be litigious enough to be like, come on. Call him like James Mysterious or something.
Right, yeah.
That's basically the wrestling show. If anybody, do you have any other shout-outs of old weird music?
Man, I mean, I don't know how good they are as themes, but the WCW, NWO Revenge, and WWF 2000, the opening themes, they had like these, they were almost like student art films starring wrestlers. So like there would be actual matches, but then there would be like Sting holding a bat in front of a pickup truck, and it's just like, wow, this is really thoughtful stuff. It's like like almost stuff that you wouldn't actually see in a WCW video, but it's just like some weird.
I just remember like looked like hastily like junior high prom representations of Bash at the Beach, and like, look, we're at it's Homecoming Under the Stars with your WCW superstars. So taking us out is Tecmo Wrestling from earlier, but the track 4 from that seems somewhat like a good ending song, so we'll go out on that. But again, VGMpire.com is the site. I think the last episode was all about Loaded and Reloaded, the PS1 shoot 'em ups we all remember, but don't recall playing other outside of that first month that they came out. And then prior to that, we did a Zelda episode, an episode all about sports. We did a Ninja Turtles episode, and then of course the month-long 4-episode Castlevania Saga, Ninja Gaiden, all kinds of stuff. Tease any other thing else? I know, Dave, you have a very relevant thing to tease here. Or to promote.
Yes, my Twitter account, Dave Rudden.
You.
No, I also host the Sheep Podcast on LaserTime Network. It's all about wrestling. Actually, and I think I mentioned before, our most recent episode, as of the time of this recording, episode 7, it's all about wrestler deaths and the like, and kind of not related to that topic at all. The closing theme to that episode is Girls in Cars.
Oh, right.
Which was the Tag Team Strike Forces theme in WWF, but for some reason it's a tribute to
Debiase.
I'm guessing they had that theme at that point in the WWF and didn't know who to assign it to, so they're like, hey, let's throw it in this, let's give it to this guy who's composing the game. And
that's so weird.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing.
I mean,
I would never have known that, and I've known that song as Ted DiBiase's theme and just heard it and assumed, they just made this up.
You need to watch the video.
Well, apparently I do.
It is super 80s. I really like that song. I don't know why. It's
amazing.
just it's an 80s WWE mixture that just warms my heart.
Is it like Wrockin Wrestling? Or?
Yeah.
Nice. VGMpire is on Twitter. You can follow at VGMpire. And, of course, VGMpire.com. And then, Mike, anything?
I got pseudo bread.
Pseudo bread. Pseudo? Pseudo.
Well, what would they call
pseudo?
What would they call pseudo bread in a Fire Pro Wrestling game? Fake loaf?
Fake loaf. That works. Yeah.
Erroneous.
Erroneous carbohydrate. Erroneous carb.
All right, we'll see you. I'm not sure what the next episode will be, but it's will be in a couple of weeks, and WrestleMania is this Sunday. We'll probably be watching it here in Chris's house. Dave, you'll actually be there.
Yes.
We'll be looking for you in the crowd.
Bring a laser time sign.
I will.
Yes, bring a cheap podcast sign.
There, perfect.
I'll just fit all the URLs in one sign.
Yes, please do.
Hulkdick.com.
Oh, where'd my sign go? Got confiscated. Bye-bye.